Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Holly and this week we are going to be doing something a little different. Well, actually not just this week because I'm going to make this one a series. So what I'm going to be doing is using a D20 to decide what I'm going to paint. I have been making these tiny little like watercolor animals at their jobs for a couple of months now, and they just crack me up. I'm trying to do a lot more of things that just make me happy, and these are definitely one of them. So this one, I have a little bulldog barista. He's sad because he loves coffee, but he's forced to work. And I have a little chipmunk dressmaker. And I decided I was going to make a list of 20 creatures. So I've got all sorts of things on here. Like I've got an octopus, a monkey, a cat, a bee, a cow, like just different things. And then different occupations. If you want to take a look, press pause. I thought it would be kind of fun to go ahead and make this a series. So I'm going to do this for 20 weeks. And we're going to do 20 different mani paintings together. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So time to come up with what we're going to paint. I've got a 13. So we've got an opossum. 9. A pilot. Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay. So I'm going to use a little bit of a bigger frame than these miniatures here. I think I'm going to use kind of something like twice the size just so that way you guys can see it a little bit better. All right. This is definitely probably larger than I need it. Well, definitely larger. So let's go with about half of this size. Okay. So I think I have to do it like this. My thought process is, yeah, something like that. Okay. I think they've got the little shoulder pads, pilots. Is that a sailor? No, that's a... Damn it. I don't know what a pilot outfit looks like. Please hold. Okay. I was not too far off. They do have a little, like, poofy hat like this, but it's the... There we go. That's the right hat. The tiniest little possum fingers. We'll have him going through a lightning storm. That's why. Yeah. Yep, he's panicking because going through a storm. Okay. Okay. Oh, the face is always the scariest part. All right, we've gone a little off course here, but that's okay. Let's start kind of erasing some of the other stuff here. So from here, I usually kind of like to narrow down like where we're at as far as things I need to paint. So I'm thinking, because he's obviously driving through a storm, let's go for some like dark blues. Maybe we'll do a little bit of purple in here just because usually the heat indicates some sort of purple. And I think the plane just has to be like a plain gray-ish. Plain gray. Whoops. Because I feel like planes are either white or gray, and I feel like white is kind of lame, especially when the background's already white. Okay, so I know a pilot's uniform is usually like a dark blue. So we're gonna go in here and do exactly that. I know there's usually like the little golden things in the sleeves. I'll paint those in later. I've already messed up. Okay. And a little bit in this hat. We're gonna wait for that to dry, but I'm gonna take a brush that I've washed it all out and try and get some of this blue out of the gray, because I really should have waited, but I'm impatient. Okay, so this is dried a bit. Now we're gonna add a little bit of pink onto the nose and the little fingies, because, well, they usually have tiny little pink fingers, and a little bit in the mouth as well. I'm gonna give him a little bit of texture over here as well. Oh, probably shouldn't have done that while that was wet. God, being impatient will be the worst of me. So now I'm gonna go back to the ears. So these are usually black. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of yellow in here because I think it needs it. No. So this window definitely needs a tint to it right about now. So we're just gonna, I'm gonna go and make a darker one over here. I'm not making it too dark, but just enough that it kind of shows that there is like reflection happening. And I'm gonna kind of go over the face a little bit just to kind of blend that out so we kind of see that sense there. I'm gonna add a little bit more into this corner just to a little bit of that blue really. I did stay in here, but I do love the fact that watercolor you can kind of blend out a little bit more. Okay. So from here, I'm going to kind of cut out, I think, what I will be using. So I'm kind of looking at this like a little further past this and about like a centimeter below the plane. So I'm gonna look at a centimeter below the plane first. I'm gonna overcut just a little bit And then same thing on this side because it's got all that yellow in there. But I do want to still make sure that there is enough that I have space to glue. Okay. So we're getting close-ish. I do know that usually there are those stripes on that uniform, so I am going to go ahead and do the stripes on the pilot's uniform. And I'm going to do a little bit of like acrylic paint in this, kind of like a metallic, just because I have it and why not? So we just do, I'll say it's just a couple right around here. And I'm only doing this with acrylic because watercolor, you kind of have to plan for lighter colors to go on top because you should always work light to dark. And so I've already kind of missed that boat. But I do know that they do usually have like a little gold emblem here. Okay, and finally, one of my very last details I want to add in is when I grab my pen, and I want to make these eyeballs just a little bit bigger just because he's looking a bit angry, and to be honest, I like my stuff to look more cute than I do. So, last thing is, now that I have these eyeballs a little bit bigger, I'm just going to take my Jelly Roll pencil and I'm going to create reflections. And this is going to give it the kind of the cuteness factor of it, because I feel like reflection always does. It shows that it's kind of real. Well, I wanted to say cuteness, but now he's looking a bit crazy. And I feel like we might have to fix that a little bit. So let's wait for that to dry. I'm going to add a little bit more definition into the face here with kind of a gray wash. And definitely not cute. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go back over with a micron. We're going to black out that yellow, or that white that just got on there. Okay, so glares in the back of the eye look psychotic. Let's do this one more time. So we'll do it in the front this time. And I feel like that looks a little bit better. Still kind of crazy, but I honestly think that's the best we're going to get here. So we have our crazy pilot opossum. Now I'm going to take some No Run Gel Super Glue and here, and I am just going to put a little bit of super glue along the edges of this. I had the paint on and I really didn't like it, but now I'm getting to kind of the bottom of this. It's a bit hard to squeeze. Oh, that's getting a bit clumped. Maybe I gotta squeeze that a bit first. Yep. Okay. It's unclogged. This should be easier now. Oh, still a little bit clumpy, but I'll have to get a new one soon. And I try to not get this thing like too soaked. Just enough that I feel like all the edges are equally coated. And I'm going to line this up, and you got to be careful on this because you really only get one shot. So I kind of get right on top of it, and usually I can get it to push down. Uh-oh. It's not wanting to stay down. Well, might be a little bit too warped of a piece of paper for it to, so I'll just pick it up and on the back carefully use my hands to push into these, because sometimes too the resin papers aren't, or like the resin frames like this aren't flush on the back. And I see that there's a little bit of glue that's kind of ended up in this corner here, so I'm gonna try and quickly get my brush wet and just try and get rid of that a little bit. Make sure to wash your brush. Yeah, wash your brush immediately after doing that so you don't ruin it. Okay, so now that I've got this adhered on here and this is dry, last thing I want to do is get off this other edge. So I've got an X-Acto knife here, and I'm just going to go in. Obviously, I've been doing this for a minute, so I know exactly how much extra I have, but try to not make it too much. So, very last thing you should always do, always sign your work. And then sometimes I like to add like little magnets and things to the back of them using like magnets and it, you know, thing like this. But I think I might add like a tiny little like glue on a tiny little like wall clip here, but there we go. We have the first of our D20 series. So little possum pilot. Okay, so I am just gonna add a tiny bit more depth to this plane here. So I'm gonna take this corner, which we've already glued down, now that I kind of know where that is, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of darker black here. And same thing in the bottom here. Just a tiny bit more here. And blend that out with some pure white. Now I will say, after looking over these eyeballs, even though we already just had to fix them, I am going to do it one more time, just until it gets to be right, exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to pick a much smaller micron. Like I've got like a 0.005 here. And with that, I'm just going to create just a little bit. And that definitely helps it look a little bit cuter. At least I think so. And then I feel like maybe some highlights right up in here wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You know, maybe just a little bit of making it look like an actual cloud, you know? And I'll wait for this to dry real quick and then I'll come back and do this part. Very last few details is there needs to be some sort of glare in this windshield. And I think that is maybe just enough. Okay, everyone, so there you have it. That is my first attempt at my D20 series. So we've got our Opossum pilot, and I will be doing these every week for the next 19 weeks. So go ahead and stay tuned. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and any comments or anything is super appreciated. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.